Dswd Akap program kinwestiyon sa Senado. Pero bago ang lahat, kung bago ka pa sa aking channel, huwag kalimutang mag-subscribe at mag-like sa aming video.
Parang baliktad naman yata yung buhay natin. Ngayon mag-iimbento ng dahilan, magdi-design ng project, pupunteriya yung mga beneficiary. Pero in the meantime, linagyan muna ng bilyon-bilyon. Yan na ba talaga ang patakaran ng DSWD? Tupad maip for the PI and other efforts. Yes,
Chair,
Senator JB,
ako rin
please.
medyo naging curious sa Akap ngayon ko lang narinig eh. No, siguro can ask DSWD, what is this program about? Is it just between the House and, kasi wala ko kami sa Senate na alam niyan eh. So is it with DSWD and the House of Representatives, yung program?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, Akap is just as foreign to us, technically, as Senator Bato, as it is provided
Yes,
in
Yusek
line
Dimapuro, I
item.
understand that it's under the DSWD budget. If you recall, in the Senate, I handle the DSWD budget, but like the COMELEC's mysterious addition of 12 billion, this 26.7 billion in the budget of the DSWD is alien to me.
Yes.
Madam Chair, if this WD declares that this foreign to them, saan yung galing itong budget? Baliktad na pala ang budgeting process natin. Ang Kongreso na magde-decide kung anong project i-implement ninyo. Hindi pala kayo nagre-request sa Congress na project na pupunduhan, program na pupunduhan. Baliktad eh.
Madam Chair, it is not an exclusive project or program for Congress. It will be regular program, but it is technically foreign in the sense that it has no guidelines yet.
Yes, Yusek
So it does not
Dimapuro, did you
exist
request
as a
for this
program.
project? Was it in the NAP? It was not.
No.
There we go. Yes. Do we allot sums of money, enormous sums of money such as this, almost 27 billion, for a project or a program that is undefined, unnamed, unfamiliar, with no guidelines whatsoever, with no target beneficiaries, and is just left open? Is this the usual practice in the DSWD?
Not necessarily a usual practice
Not
in the
necessarily.
DSWD.
So sometimes DSWD has these magical projects that no one has ever heard of before.
We don't create magical projects, Madam Chair. These are
But
part
when
of
is
the
it
GAA.
necessary? You said not necessarily. So there are times when it is necessary to invent projects?
There are times when there are necessary projects to
Yes, you have QRF and you have all kinds of emergency
Yes.
assistance. I'm very familiar. Why do you have to invent Akap?
Akap is not invented. I
But you
believe
just said that guidelines and the purposes had not been established.
yes, guidelines have to go through proper policy procedures. So
Pero
it's not
linagyan na ng
invented
pera,
out of the
walang
air.
nakakaintindi kung paano gagawin, kung kanino ibibigay. Walang kaplano-plano pero may pera na.
Madam Chair, there are programs that are provided by the GAA for NGAs to implement. But before we
Yes,
do
with all
implement,
due
we have
respect,
to...
Yusek, that is not the usual budget process we're familiar with. There's always a very well-defined project or program before a line item magically appears in the GAA. It's fought over, debated, and discussed very, very thoroughly in the subcommittees as well as the plenary. This wasn't.
Madam Chair, we are currently creating the guidelines, and we would be happy to share with...
Parang baliktad naman yata yung buhay natin. Ngayon mag-iimbento ng dahilan, magdi-design ng project, pupunteriya yung mga beneficiary. Pero in the meantime, linagyan muna ng bilyon-bilyon. Yan na ba talaga ang patakaran ng DSWD?
Madam Chair, for programs that are intended for the poor, vulnerable, and disadvantaged, we welcome, obviously, more programs, and we would be grateful to be able to implement these other programs.
I'm familiar with your mandate, but nothing in your mandate indicates that you should be inventing projects and that you are exempt from usual budgetary study and procedure. I'm sorry.
Madam Chair, kaya siguro nagkaganon dahil hindi talaga sa kanila yung programa na yan.
Gagawa lang sila ngayon.
Oo, hindi talaga sa kanila. With due respect lang, in fairness to Yusek Di Maporo, bago nga yan sa kanya. Sabi nga niya, foreign eh. Hindi niya alam. So, huwag ka mag-alala. We are not faulting you for that. Kaya we are just investigating dahil the usual mangyari is meron ng bahay yung pondo, like AX. Kung sisingit man yung meron mang intervention dyan during the BICAM, ang lower house at saka upper house, the most that they can do is siguro dagdagan yung amount ng AX na yan. Pero may bahay na yan. Pero yung gagawa ng bagong bahay dyan during the BICAM, I don't know how feasible is that. Kaya nga sabi ng aming chairman, it's very magical. Kayo mismo, Dswd, hindi nyo alam na, uy, boom! May akap pala na ganito kalaki.
May nabasa lang ako bigla, o naalala ko lang bigla. Sabi ni Yusek Di Maporo, hindi kita inaaway wag mo ipagtanggol yung akap pag hindi mo alam. Kasi lahat kami hindi alam. Kahit sinasabi ng DSWD, wala silang alam tungkol sa guidelines, foreign itong project, at linagay lang dyan, nasa press release na yung AKAP will provide 5,000 cash payment to 12 million poor households. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, I've read those press releases,
But isn't this a
Madam
mere
Chair.
duplication of so many programs already initiated by previous administrations, the 4Ps and then the AIX, the never-ending Ayuda, SAP 1, SAP 2, walang katapusan to. So this is hardly a guideline. Pero ang liwanag na, nangako na ng 5,000 sa
Madam Chair,
12 million households. Baka hindi mo alam.
Madam Chair, I cannot confirm whether those are the numbers that are decided on, as we don't have any guidelines yet.
Pamaskong handog to lumabas sa PNA December 27.
Well, for our Christmas programs, or we don't have AKAP in any of our Christmas programs, I can say that definitively. But with regard to any pronouncements of how AKAP will be implemented and what amounts will be provided through AKAP, we don't have guidelines for that yet, Madam
Sige,
Chair.
Yusek, ganito na lang, magtulungan na lang tayo. Alamin natin ang mga detalye nitong programa to, pareho kami ni Senator Bato, ni Senator JV, Senator Risa. Nagugulat po kami kung saan to galing at anong ibig sabihin.
Yes po, Madam Chair. And I'd also like to say that we are very open to many innovations and new programs in DSWD. And it is not a new thing where we create something new.
Madam Chair, just to add.
Okay lang yan, okay lang.
I'm not gonna fight with you over that, but that's completely inaccurate and untrue. Okay, Senator Bato, please.
Pagkuha ko lang kay Yusek na walang problema. Wala kang problema ito sa amin. Huwag ka mag-alala. Ang amin lang talaga is, nagulat lang kami sa Senado. Akap. Hindi namin nakita yan sa, kahit na ilang araw mo pag-aralan yung NEP, kahit ilang araw mo pag-aralan yung GAB, hanggang sa kwan, hindi mo talaga makita yan. Nagulat na lang kami ngayon na may ganyan pala. Ikaw nga, nagulat ka sa inyong departamento yan. Okay lang, pareho tayong nagulat ngayon.
A happy
Huwag ka
surprise,
mag-alala.
Senator Pato, Madam Chair. A happy surprise because it will help the disadvantaged at the end of the day.
Hindi, walang problema yan.
Hindi, okay lang yan.
Kung mapunta
Okay.
sa taong bayan yan, importante yan. Okay ako, walang problema. Yung nga lang, siguruhin ninyo dahil ang PNP ngayon, nagbabantay na pag mag-release kayo na babawasan na naman yung pera, ang 10,000 ibigay sa tao, tapos ibalik yung, bawiin yung 9,000, 1,000 lang maiwan doon sa tao. You hear that during our hearings, di ba?
Yes, Madam
kaya
Chair, we
bantayan
are
ninyo
happy
talaga
for the
yan.
support of PNP to help
Yeah.
us in those payment areas.
Oh,
Off-site payment areas po siya.
thank you.
Madam Chair, dagdag ako na lang. Dagdagan ko na lang
Senator
yung-
JV.
yung pagka-surprise
Hindi kita inaaway,
natin.
ang mahal ko yung pamilya mo. Ang
course.
problema, wag mo ipagtatanggol yung hindi mo kaya ipagtanggol. Ayan,
Madam
Senator
Chair,
JV,
dagdagan ko na
please.
lang siguro yung surprise na ito. According to Infos, our appropriations chair of House, Saldico, said that 60 billion for the Akap program under the 2024 budget with 26.7 already lodged under DSWD. So 60 billion pa lang allocated dyan. So 26 billion pa lang nasa DSWD.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator Risa, was that Attorney Jokno raising his hand? Parang nauna po kayo. Sige po.
Senator
Dagdag
Imee,
lang,
go
oo.
ahead.
Just a quick addition dun sa point made by Sen JV, Madam Chair, before Attorney Chell. Just to follow that, at mukhang unprogrammed funds yun, yung in-announce po nila sa press conference na yun. Just for the record, Madam Chair. Salamat po, Madam Chair. Salamat, Attorney
Pero
Chell.
ang bongga ng unprogrammed, nakadetalya na, 5 million per family. Ayos. Okay, Attorney Jokno, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think the most basic principle here is that a people's initiative must come from the people. And it's very relevant that we find out, for example, why was there a need for an advertisement in the first place? The advertisement is obviously intended to shape public opinion, pero kung galing naman sa taong bayan yung initiative, ba't pa kailangan gumastos ng 55 million pesos? Doon naman po sa point ng donors, very relevant yan. Dahil kailangan natin malaman, halimbawa, kung galing ba yan sa mga public officials o mga associated sa public officials. I overheard Mr. Oñate say earlier that he has been a political operator for 30 years. So naturally, the question must be answered, where did that money come from? Because of his past experience. Last point lang po, Madam Chair, is that if, as the COMELEC Chair says, the signature sheets are mere scraps of paper, then I see no administrative liability to their being returned to the signatories. Thank you, ma'am.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator Risa, please.
Related dun sa second point ni Attorney Chell, maybe we should also invite the Anti-Money Laundering Council to the next hearing. Kasi mukhang milyong-milyong piso ang dali-daling palitan ng kamay dito. Ayaw pa nga pangalanan sino yung mga original na fellow donors ni Mr. Oñate. Tapos walang government agency na may alam, pati BIR na dapat mangongolekta, baka hindi lang ng isa, kundi dalawang donors tax, ay hindi po alam yung impormasyong iyon. So perhaps, Madam Chair, pwede pong imbitahin yung AMLAC to the next hearing. Salamat, Madam Chair.
Yes, we will consider that, and perhaps DBM as well, because this very mysterious insertion of a very large sum of money needs to be probed further. Just as a matter of housekeeping, if you will allow, I know it's lunchtime, please carry on and eat the lunch prepared. We will have a working lunch hour. May I just... following up on Senator Risa's request, urge that the committee secretary issue a second subpoena for the documents requested from Mr. Oñate, Gana, Gisado, etc. with regard to the TV ad, which I agree with Attorney Jokno should be entirely unnecessary if the initiative that was forwarded was indeed derived from the people. Also, I'd just like a quick clarification from Mr. Oñate. Mabilis lang po to. We were referred earlier for the organizational chart by Attorney Alex Avisado to a certain Attorney Red Tuason, since he is the one in charge of operations and organization. Tama po ba yun?
Yes, that's correct, Madam Chair.
So, what position does he have in PIRMA?
They know the list of regional coordinators and provincial coordinators of PIRMA. They are the ones that are in charge of the soldiers in the field.
So, you work closely with Mr. Red Tuason and perhaps hired him in the past? Is that correct?
Yes, we talk every now and then.
I'm very confused, Mr. Oñate. During the last hearing in January 30, when I read out his name, you said very clearly that you did not know Attorney Red Tuason. Now, he is not only your employee, but a close collaborator and organizer of Pirma. Can you please confirm or
Yes,
deny?
because at that time we were in the process of getting people to help us in the field.
You are
Like,
saying...
we now have a spokesperson, we now have,
So Attorney Red Tuason was hired when? You did not know him in January 30, is that correct?
yeah, that's correct. I got to know him,
And he has
2
become
weeks
your
ago,
close
about-
collaborator since then?
pardon me?
But since January 30, when you denied any knowledge or familiarity with Attorney Red Tuason, since then, you have become a close associate and organizer of this Attorney Tuason?
Yes, we text each other now. Because
So,
we
kakilala mo pa lang kayo?
are beefing up our ranks.
Nalilito po ako kasi humihingi si Senator Binay kanina ng organizational chart which I assume wasn't made over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, we have a note.
Madam Chair, if I may, Attorney Red Tuason is closely working with the group of Attorney Alfredo Garbin. That's the connection, Your Honor. Unfortunately, Attorney Garbin
Yes,
is not
but
around.
does Mr. Oñate know Attorney Tuason or he doesn't know Attorney Tuason? That's all I need to understand. I mean, January 30, he never heard of him, and today he's a close associate.
Yeah, he was introduced to me about a week and a half ago.
And you organized Pirma nationwide to undertake an entire people's initiative in the past week and a half. Is that correct?
Yes.
Past week, ano
We
yan?
are all
Madam Chair,
dumbfounded.
samantalang tumatakbo na itong People's Initiative, Disyembre pa lang, nag-break na tayo. Break tayo, tapos ibig sabihin, nauna mo nang tumakbo bago nabuo yung magpapatakbo. Ha? Nauna yung carriage, ano yun, yung karwahe, nahuli yung kabayo. Parang gano'n nangyayari dito. Madam Chair.
Nakakalito nga eh. In any case, I understand Attorney Makalintal wishes to be excused. Thank you very much for your valuable contribution.
Yes, Your Honor.
I
But,
also
in addition to the position paper that I submitted.
Thank you very much. I
just
think
this
we're
additional
already in
position
receipt.
paper,
Maraming
Your Honor.
salamat po.
Alright,
Yes,
may
thank
hearing
you.
lang po ako sa Pasig ng 2
Ay,
o'clock.
maraming salamat. Thank you po.
Salamat. And
At
good afternoon.
sa ating COMELEC, alam ko rin na may hearing rin kayo sa House, kaya pag kinailangan, mag-abiso na lang po kayo.
Madam
But
Chair.
At this point, I really need to proceed to what is actually the first item in the agenda, and that is Attorney Abad.
Madam
Yes,
Chair, bago lang mawala ang Chair at Commissioners ng COMELEC, just for the record po.
Ay, hindi pa sila mawawala.
Okay
I think
po, Madam
mamaya
Chair.
pa ng konti.
Or if I, at least to follow up kung may feedback na po kina Commissioner Casquejo at Inting about responding to the first question. Bakit nagbago ang memory at posisyon ng COMELEC tungkol dun sa interpretation ng Santiago at saka yung pag-issue nila ng 10650, Madam Chair?
Madam Chair, in the meantime, wala pa po. But with the kind indulgence of the Honorable Senator Risa Ontiveros, kung okay lang po, we'll just require these 2 commissioners to submit in writing the explanation on why there was a sudden turnaround as far as COMELEC Resolution 10650 is concerned.
Maraming salamat,
Immediately po.
Chair Garcia. Salamat, Madam
Thank you
Chair.
very much, Madam Chair.
At Senator Risa, are you satisfied with that? So we will await their response. Sige. Maraming salamat, Chair Garcia. At ngayon, nais ko lang alamin, andito si Attorney Abad. Okay.